We haven't talked about Ukraine in a while. Doesn't mean things are better there. It means people are just tired. Not my words. I'm quoting Western leaders on the Ukraine war. And there is something called war fatigue. It sets in after a long period of fighting. And today is day 617th of the Russia-Ukraine war. So I guess long sums it up. But how are things on the battlefield? Russia has recently stepped up attacks. They shelled more than 100 settlements on Wednesday. It was the highest in 2023, the highest this year. Russia also fired around 20 missiles at Ukraine. Kyiv says 18 of them were shot down, but an oil refinery in Kremenchuk was hit. That's the big fear for Ukraine. The notorious Russian winter is almost here. Pretty soon, the front lines will be frozen. It's the second winter of this war. Last time, Russia struck Ukraine's power grids during the winter. So Kyiv is expecting a repeat. As for the ground attacks, do not expect much. Russian winters are the worst for fighting. Movement is slow, visibility is low, soldier morale is low, and supply lines are often overburdened. So what is Ukraine's plan? Well, right now it's not clear. Kyiv began its much-hyped counteroffensive in the month of June, but the consensus is it has failed. Their soldiers are stuck in an eastern industrial city. It's called Avdiivka. And reports say Russia plans to encircle them. So the big bet has not paid off. Ukraine has not broken through Russian lines. But President Vladimir Zelensky is not giving up. He says, don't expect instant success.
The modern world is set up in such a way that it becomes accustomed to success too quickly. When the full-scale aggression began, many in the world did not think Ukraine would endure. The colossal things done by our people, by our soldiers, are now taken for granted. Ukraine's success in the battle for the Black Sea is something that will be in the history books, although it is not so often discussed now.
Well, he's got a point there. Ukraine did launch some daring attacks. In September, they hit the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. Kyiv said a Russian admiral was killed. They also sent drones into Moscow. But those were freak attacks. On the front lines, Ukraine has not made a dent. Even their generals admit this. One of them says the counteroffensive has reached a stalemate, meaning neither side is making progress. The general also says new technology is needed to break that stalemate. And by new technology, he means weapons. Russia, though, disagrees.
No, it hasn't reached a stalemate. Russia continues its special military operation and will fulfill all its goals. It is absurd for the Kyiv regime even to talk about any perspectives of victory on the battlefield. The sooner the Kyiv regime understands this, the sooner some other perspectives will open up for them.
Reports say Russia is buying time, bringing in more soldiers, deploying more weapons, basically lying in wait. But for Ukraine, new weapons won't magically appear. The West will have to give them to Ukraine. Joe Biden has proposed a massive package. It's worth around $106 billion. Just one problem, though. The Republicans don't agree. You see, Biden's package is not just for Ukraine. It's a combined aid package for Israel and Ukraine. But the Republicans say no. They're open to funding Israel, but they're not keen on more aid for Ukraine. Same in Europe. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni says there is a lot of tiredness over the war. She didn't mean to say it, though. Meloni's office was tricked by Russian comedians. They posed as an African leader on the phone, and the Italian Prime Minister spilled everything. She said the counteroffensive is not going to plan. She also said this conflict will last for years if there isn't a solution. So Meloni wants a way out. Now, prank call or not, that's dangerous for Ukraine. If their allies lose interest, they cannot sustain this war. So Ukraine's foreign minister is touring Europe. He made an appeal for weapons.
I will raise with my fellow colleagues the point that among many policies that the European Union is implementing, we need a new, strong, consolidated policy, EU policy on cooperation of defense industries of EU countries and candidate countries, because we see that in order to defend itself, in order to resolve conflicts and deter aggressions in Europe, efforts in the area of defense industry need to be stepped up.
So the US aid tap is almost shut. Europe is losing interest. The Russian winter is coming. And the world is focused on Israel and Gaza. It's not ideal for Zelensky. And his general was right about one thing. Ukraine needs something big. A weapon or a strategy that can break this war apart. If not, the world will lose interest. Could the F-16 fighter jet be that weapon? Ukraine's pilots have already started training. Once their course is complete, the jets will arrive. Reports say around 60 of them. Of course, Russia has dismissed this. They say the jets won't last 20 days.
I would like to point out that 37 aircraft is almost twice the number of F-16s that are guaranteed to be delivered to Ukraine. In other words, with this kind of performance of our air defense systems, it is worth about 20 days of work.
A stalemate helps Russia. It gives them time to regroup. But for Ukraine, it's a dangerous period. It's enough time for their allies to reconsider, to stop giving military aid. So this winter is one to watch out for.